All sports, all the time.
There's heroes and there's legends. Heroes get remembered. Legends never die.
This is the Spoken Podcast.
Hold your ears, folks. It's showtime.
I'm your host, Lance Twidwell.
Man, that kid, he can ball, man. He can ball.
Touchdown, Kansas City!
Patrick freaking Mahomes, baby!
Let's talk some sports because that's what we're here to do.
You are tuned in to the Spoken.
This is the Spoken Podcast. I'm your host, Lance Twidwell, here in the KC Beard Co. studios with my guy, Eddie Ortiz.
Yo.
And Trevor Twidwell.
What's up, everybody?
Got a very fun-filled night for you guys tonight as we are going to be talking pretty much all Chiefs. Obviously, Eddie is going to fill us in with what's going on in the outside world as far as sports is concerned, but there is a lot going on out here in Kansas City when it comes to the Chiefs, and we want to spend the night talking mostly about that. So much so that we are going to have two really good guests, two really good friends of ours. In fact, one of them is a producer, and the other one has his own show. We have Shaggy Shane Williams and Clay Windler coming on tonight, guys. We're pretty stoked about having these fellas on. We've never had them both on at the same time. We've had them both on at certain points early on in the show's production, but as time has gone on, it's just really good to have them back. So we're going to have them on the next segment. But we are here, like I said, in the KC Beard Co. studios. And Trevor and Eddie and I mean, we text throughout the week about what we're going to talk about. And I feel like, and Trevor, right before the show started, you said you felt like this week that it was kind of just an on-the-cuff type of week because there was so much that we feel like we've already addressed. But for some weird reason, it seems like every week there's another chapter to a few things. And we're going to get to that in a second. But let's start with some actual football news. The Chiefs got done with their draft. There's a lot of people that have different opinions on how they think the Chiefs fared in the draft. We're going to get to our opinions in a second, but just to run down real quick as to who the Chiefs took in this draft and where they took them. Chiefs traded up to the 56th pick overall in the second round to get wide receiver Mecole Hardman out of Georgia. Then in the same round at 63 overall, they took a defensive back and Juan Thornhill out of Virginia. In the third round at 82 overall, they took a defensive tackle, Colin Saunders in Western Illinois. In round 6, all the way down in round 6 to 201st pick, they took the cornerback Rashad Fenton out of South Carolina. In the 6th round at 214th overall, they took a running back, Darwin Thompson out of Utah State.
A steal right there.
That could very well be a steal. And then at round 7, 216th overall, they took an offensive guard or a center, however the Chiefs want to utilize him, Nick Allegretti out of Illinois.
We always find good serviceable linemen though at the end. And I think there's so much depth at the end of it because there's not a lot of linemen that are taken. So there was actually a good amount taken this year, but there's always depth at that position in the draft, man.
I think they would quantify this draft as more of a meat and potatoes type of draft.
Yeah.
Sure, there were quarterbacks taken early. I still don't understand the Daniel Jones pick at number 6, but we can talk about that in a second.
Heavy on the defensive linemen, man. That was a lot of defensive linemen taken.
And this was the kind of draft that I think the Chiefs were really looking forward to being a part of, even though I think they only took one defensive tackle in the draft. Having said that, I think the Chiefs did answer some pretty glaring needs, especially seeing we don't know exactly what the jury will be for Tyreek Hill's future in Kansas City. But for me, I'm going to go out and just get out ahead of it and say I think my favorite pick of this draft was Juan Thornhill.
Absolutely.
I think this guy is going to be that dude that in 5 to 10 years from now, they're going to look back and say, yeah, he was only a second round. That's not bad. It's a modest, you're still pretty early in the draft. But how the hell did this guy fall into the 60s?
That's what I'm saying. I would have been fine with us taking him in our first pick.
Right.
Even
though it was only, 5 or 7 picks after.
He might be the best in his position in this draft.
Yeah.
I think he's got a lot to I think he's the guy that's going to go out there and prove people wrong. I think he's going to have every opportunity to do that. So,
no, I agree. I think Juan Thornhill is the type of guy that can come in and make an immediate difference because that's what the Chiefs need. They need guys that are going to make immediate differences.
I think he's a day one starter for sure.
Yes, especially on the defensive side. They're going to need to have guys. And we just had our guy Clay Windler actually join the studio. How you doing, brother?
What's up?
We're going to have you on in the next segment. But like I said, Juan Thornhill to me is the one that stands out. I think Mecole Hardman can come in and make immediate impact on the special team side. I do think he will get his fair share of targets as the season progresses and learns the system.
He's going to be
better.
a gadget guy to start. It's similar to the Tyreek experiment. Hopefully it works out that way. But that's the only one I'm really questionable. All the other picks I was fine with, man.
And see, here's the other thing we have to consider, guys. that you have to actually equate Frank Clark into this draft as well.
Oh yeah, he was our first round pick. If you think about it.
If you think about it, yeah. Because and people go back and forth as to was he worth that pick or not? For me, it was a slam dunk move for the Chiefs.
It's not a question, man.
29th overall, you're not going to get that equal value of a Frank Clark at 25 years old at 29. So I definitely think the Chiefs did very well in this draft, especially on the defensive side. I think that if we're looking at this, you guys know me, I'm the type that holds back all my predictions until the very last second when it comes to like week 1 coming up.
Yeah, like that Friday or Saturday.
Yes,
that's when you
because preseason guys get hurt, trades happen, things of that nature always take place, and I don't want to jump the gun with my predictions. But if I'm looking at this defense right now, I don't know how you can look at it and think this is not going to be a dramatically better defense.
Well, especially up front, man.
Yes.
We might. I mean, I know I'm talking about jumping the gun, but we're looking to be a top 5 defensive front. Yeah. It's not even a question. Just Chris Jones and Clark alone are a wrecking crew to be, so I'm excited, man. We just got
Keenan Allen's
right.
What it says.
Well, he's not wrong now. We can get to that, but I don't think he's wrong with that because we do need to go get us a corner still, and we can talk about that. But there's some guys out there I think that are on the block. So,
well, this is why I like the Juan Thornhill pick even more, though, because of the fact that you can actually utilize him at the cornerback position. I think he's going to play more safety. Obviously, I think that's where his strength is.
Yeah.
But he has played corner in the past.
He's Tyrann Mathieu light right now.
Yes.
He's a similar player.
And they contribute to each other's styles. So I think Juan Thornhill is the guy that's going to come in here week 1 and become an immediate impact.
To play right by next to Mathieu, man. It's gonna be they can definitely be a duo.
Yeah. Now I think Colin, these other guys I think they're gonna play their part as time goes on. But I'm gonna keep my expectations very low because of the simple fact that I don't think that Brett Veach has really won me over yet as far as draft picks are concerned. I think that obviously, and in all fairness, he's only had 2 drafts, and he's yet to have a first-round pick.
Yeah, right.
So I'm going to give him some time, but at the same time, I'm going to balance my emotions. I'm going to balance my expectations as to what I'm giving him as far as credit is concerned, because the jury, like I said, is still very much out on these picks. I do love what I said, what he got out of Frank Clark, extending him, only having to trade essentially D Ford in a first round for him, which I would do that move 1,000 times over.
So you want the consistency, man. That's what we're getting. So
like I said, this team for me is all in. And I think that 2019 is the season where the Chiefs are saying, look, could we win more Super Bowls in the future? Absolutely. Because you have a 23-year-old Patrick Mahomes that you're going to extend, that you're going to keep here for the remainder of his career if all things go perfectly.
Yeah.
So obviously you're going to have chances to win Super Bowls, but they know that 2019 is that year where you could potentially have the most talented team around Patrick Mahomes that he'll ever have in his career. And that's why they have to capitalize on it. I've been listening to local radio hosts all week long talking about how, 2018 was the time to capitalize. And I don't disagree with that.
It was.
It was. Absolutely. And they
should
have gotten to the Super Bowl. They should have won the Super Bowl.
Yep.
I think all of us would agree with that. And I want to get Shane and Clay's thoughts on that as well. But I feel like 2019 can actually be that year where we're saying, man, 2019 really was an opportunity. But this is actually a more talented, more prepared team. Because you also have to remember.
Especially Mahomes, definitely mentally.
Exactly.
Right.
Now he's going into year 3. His second year as the full-time starter. So he's only going to get better.
Well, now he's got a chip on his shoulder, though. Now he's got even more to prove because he failed where he didn't want to fail, at the biggest moment of his career. Mahomes, the chip on his shoulder, I'm all in with that, man. I mean, give me that.
And I like the thought of a confident Mahomes knowing that he doesn't have to try to go out there and play savior ball every week because he has a defense that actually can keep him.
And he things he can possibly do now, like he can actually change the game. You know what I mean?
Like, I think he's proven too that he can go out there and execute in the biggest moments because he was not only in the biggest game of his career, but he was behind, and then he went out and dropped 31 points and a half. So yeah,
him with the I would say if we give him a top 15 defense, not even a top 10, I think Patrick Mahomes can well win it. Take us to the Super Bowl, no doubt.
Yeah.
Dropping 30, 35 points.
For a top 10 defense, I mean, it's
yeah.
Well, here's the and this is the only I don't want to be negative about the draft because I think that the Chiefs, from what I've seen so far, we're giving them praise because you have to add Frank Clark, Mecole Hardman. I think he's got a lot of talent, and I love Juan Thornhill again. But the one thing that does concern me, and I think it's a legitimate concern, is the fact that the Chiefs have absolutely zero tight end depth. They have zero tight end depth.
Yeah.
Travis Kelce is going to be 30 years old this year. Granted, he has not missed a game in his career since 2013. But the point remains. You lose Travis Kelce, you have literally no tight ends.
But think about it, man. I mean, have we really gotten worse at tight end since last year?
I'm not saying they got worse.
Is it real? I mean, no, but I mean, did we have depth last year?
They definitely didn't get better. That's my point.
Did we have depth last year, though?
No, they didn't.
Was Demetrius Harris depth?
No, they didn't. But see, here's the thing. Now that we know.
So what really changed, though?
Okay, here's why. Here's why it concerns me. Because we still don't know for certain what's going to happen with Tyreek Hill. And that puts even more onus on Travis Kelce being valuable in this offense.
I don't have a doubt in my mind that we bring in an undrafted free agent tight end because there wasn't many taken in the draft, and I know there's a lot of guys out there that are gonna willing, able bodies that are coming to training camp.
You can easily bring a rookie in there.
Well, that's a very highly optimistic take because we don't know what these undrafted guys will be.
But I mean, in this system,
it's
man,
just adding depth.
Yeah.
At this point, it's just adding depth and adding that person right behind Kelce.
I
it's not about putting him out there and starting every game. You're just adding depth to the tight end position.
You know how Belichick just brings guys in off the street and into his defensive scheme, and all of a sudden they're flourishing and they're fitting right in. They're just doing their job. I see that the same way with Andy Reid in his offensive scheme. Because we've seen Damian Williams. He was a third-string running back in Miami, and then he comes in and he has a three-touchdown game, and he has multiple touchdown games, and it's like, just walking in and he's the guy. And now it's his job to lose. So I feel like with Andy Reid, his system is similar to Belichick, the way he can come in and just make things happen with willing bodies.
I don't disagree. I guess I'm just saying, like, months ago when I was listening to Craig Stout and Ken Swanson talking about how, they would like to see the offense run more 12 personnel.
Yeah. And sure.
And for me, it's like I'm not a name chaser. Like, obviously, I knew the Chiefs weren't going to be able to go get T.J. Hawkinson. That's not realistic.
Yeah.
I knew there was other, like, I think Noah Fant, like those other guys. They weren't going to be able to get those guys.
I've been hearing rumblings about Kyle Rudolph being on the block.
And I would love that.
I would absolutely love to imagine that him next to running two tight end sets with Kyle Rudolph and Travis Kelce.
That would be amazing.
Because Kyle Rudolph's more of that. He's more of a massive guy, the better blocker, I think, in my mind. But great hands too, though. I mean, the guy's definitely a weapon in the red zone. So
as long as we don't get another Harris,
you never know. I think he'll be cheap too. So.
Well, that's the only thing I really wanted to take away from the draft on, I guess, if you want to call it a negative slant, is just because of the fact that I feel like the Chiefs had an opportunity to capitalize on getting themselves a good tight end in the draft. I'm not saying that would be their first pick, but Travis Kelce being at his age now and knowing that he's going to be the number one target this year again.
Yeah,
I think that you just have to be able to kind of give him a little bit more of a cushion, more protection. If there was no Tyreek concern, I wouldn't probably even bring it up. I'd probably just be okay with it as is, but I feel like it is a legitimate concern, and I've heard a few other Chiefs fans mention it as well, just about the fact that it is a very vital position in today's NFL.
For sure. It's growing towards that. But I'm honestly, that's honestly one of the least of my worries, to be honest with you, just because we've lacked tight end depth for years. We haven't had depth for tight end for a long time, even when Alex Smith first got here. So, I mean, I just don't.
But that's my point, is that if
we flourished without him.
If this is the first time that the Chiefs can really establish a notion that they're all in, that would be an all in type of move.
Yeah. And we haven't, in the absence of Tyreek Hill, who knows what's going to happen, obviously, with that situation. If he's not on the field at all this year, that's going to let defensives definitely key in on Travis Kelce. So having a second guy that can go out there and make plays is a big deal too. So I hear both sides for sure. So.
Yeah, and again, I think overall this was a fun draft. Like I said, we were doing the show live, or not live, but we were recording it.
Yeah,
and we're watching the draft live, and we hear they traded up, and we're thinking, oh, it's going to be DK Metcalf, or it's going to be one of these big name receivers, possibly.
I personally wanted DK, but
yeah, because at that time we were under the influence that Tyreek Hill was probably not going to be in Kansas City, which that seems to be changed at this time.
Chiefs, I think that's what the Chiefs knew at that time. I don't think they knew anything else other than they might not have Tyreek.
They're just covering their asses.
So they wanted to cover themselves with somebody that can also spread the field like Tyreek does. So I think it was more of a, holy shit, what do we do?
Well, and there was rumblings too. I think the Jets were thinking about trading up to getting him. So I think if they were, they really liked his profile and what he was, is maybe a Tyreek Hill replacement, possibly.
Yeah, that's what the Chiefs were doing.
But I think he's going to be more of a special teams guy this year. I think he's going to be the guy that's going to be returning kicks. That's what I think he's going to be this year. I don't think he's, because I've watched this film. He's a decent route runner, not really that great though. He's got decent hands, but in traffic, he's not the greatest hands. But with the ball in his hands, though, he is a deadly player.
That was
I'll give him
Tyreek when he came into the league. He wasn't the greatest route runner either.
Yeah,
he was all special teams.
Same with Antonio Brown. He's smaller, compact wide receivers.
And you if you land on with the right coach and staff and all that, I'm sure you can actually grow the potential.
Only thing I'll go off of is Dave Tope said he's the closest thing to Devin Hester that he's ever seen. So if Dave Tope, whose opinion I respect greatly and is a mastermind with the special teams spectrum, I mean, if he's saying that about this kid, I have to kind of be all in on him, because I mean, I can only trust what he sees. He has the eye for it, obviously. So if he thinks this kid's the closest thing to Devin Hester, I mean, I'm all in on that, because give me prime Devin Hester any day.
Yeah, I've watched a lot of video on him. He's got insane burst.
I mean, absolutely. The ball in his hands.
He's downhill. He's downhill immediately, and I really like his field vision. I talked to Kent. Like I said, I've asked him about it and, his thoughts on him, and he's excited about him. He was more excited about Juan Thornhill, obviously.
Yeah.
As I am.
That was the big one there. That kid's bad.
I think if he plays to the hype that everybody's giving him,
well, it feels like
it might be the steal of the draft.
Yeah, because I mean,
he was higher up on most people's boards for sure.
I don't know about you guys, but it felt like we got ourselves a first-round pick in the second round.
He's a day one starter. I guarantee you. I'm guaranteeing it right now. I think he's going to start day one.
That's why I liked him.
What made him drop to the second round? Well, what do you think made him drop to the second
round?
Well,
the thing they said is that he has a problem recovering.
Okay.
So, let's say if he gets burned on a route, he has a hard time getting back. Now,
so
that's
kind of like I forgot it. Marcus Peters. Once they burn him, he gives up.
Marcus. The thing about Marcus, though, is first of all, he was just a straight corner.
He was a risk taker.
I know, but I'm saying kind of like the same thing though, because once he got burnt, he just stopped. He wouldn't even.
That's teachable though.
Yeah.
See, that's something you can teach. You can break that.
That's something that film will, And I think with Spagnuolo, I think he obviously will get him to say, hey, look. We like that you're jumping, going for the ball, things like that.
Yeah.
I like that you're trying to jump routes.
I like the ball hawks, man.
Yes.
Give me the ball hawks.
That's what I like.
Those are the guys that change the game. I can deal with you getting burnt here and there.
Yeah.
I know it sucks.
6 interceptions last year.
Right. So, but if you can make up and get a pick six, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter.
Well,
so.
and that's the thing is this defense with the front seven that they have, which I do think is going to be an elite front seven. I'm going to come out and say I think they will be an elite front seven.
Yep.
You got to have guys out there in the back and down the field. They're going to be able to turn that ball over because you're going to have dudes be sending that pressure on the quarterback. So that means a lot of times that field will be open at certain spots.
Yeah.
So you got to have those guys that are going to cover the field. That's why I think Tyrann Mathieu and Thornhill are going to work together so well.
That just sounds so exciting.
It does, man.
It pumps me up.
It's so weird to be excited about our defense.
Yeah, and once we trade for Patrick Peterson or Xavier Rhodes, it's going to be even better.
Well, that's the thing is that I was reading actually some people that I trust on Twitter. They were
going to
make
another move.
Xavier Rhodes is actually more of a realistic possibility because I think the Vikings are trying to cut weight.
Right.
Yeah, because they don't have cap space to.
And I heard,
dude, he's cheap too.
You can't sign their rookies with that cap.
But they're talking about using a third or fourth round pick to get him. Which if you can get Xavier Rhodes,
give me that all day.
Yeah. Give me that all day.
Where do I sign?
He's a legitimate lockdown corner. I mean, I know he's had his flaws and he's been burnt.
He wasn't very good last year.
I understand that, but that defense really was underwhelming last year for what talent they have on that team. Yeah. So the whole team as a whole really was underwhelming. But
so that's our thoughts on the draft right now, guys. Like I said, I don't know what your guys' letter grade is, but I'm gonna give it a B- right now. I think it is some good highlights, but there's a lot that we don't know about these guys. A lot of uncertainties, and we don't know who will be starting, who will be making immediate impact, other than, in my opinion, in my strong opinion, Juan Thornhill. What letter grade would you give it?
I'd say a B.
Okay.
I think with all the drama and all the crap that's been going on around this team, for them to keep a level head, and I think they drafted, decently well at each position that we needed and added another guy, Colin, to our, depth of our defensive line. I think we're so loaded defensive line now, which was one of our biggest weaknesses last year. So flipping last year on its head, being deep at one of our weakest spots, I'm cool with it, man. And I think, overall, I'd say it's a B. I'm good with it.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the B as well. To me, it was a good draft for the Chiefs. For them not to have a first round and kind of like get the picks that they actually got, it was decent enough to where you're like, okay, they might make some impact next year. So we'll see.
Yeah. Well, when we get back, we're going to have our guys, Clay Windler from Red Tribe Cinema and Shaggy Shane Williams from the Shaggy Shane Show on YouTube. They're going to be here together for the first time ever on the Spoken Podcast. So fasten your seatbelts because I think this is going to be a lot of fun. We got a lot to talk about when it comes to Tyreek Hill, when it comes to Chris Jones' contract, Jamaal Charles and DJ, Derek Johnson being retired in the Chiefs Hall of Fame. There's plenty more to talk about, and I think that this is going to be a really good show. Like I said, we're going to get into depth onto what these guys' opinions are on these matters, and I have an interesting angle that I want to touch on when it comes to Jamaal Charles and Derek Johnson being retired in the Chiefs Hall of Fame this week. We'll get back to that after this. Located in the historic Westport District, Modern Man Supply Company is your Kansas City's new home for men's retail. From apparel to pomade and home goods to beard care, they offer a wide range of men's products from independent companies from around the world. Follow them at Modern Man Supply Company on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Commandeer is Kansas City's alternative apparel brand. They make unique Kansas City-themed clothing and accessories with a countercultural appeal. Find them online at commandeerbrand.com or follow them at Commandeer Brand on Instagram or Facebook. This is the Spoken Podcast here for segment number 2. I am your host, Lance Twidwell, here in the KC Beard Co. studios with my guy, Trevor Twidwell.
What's up, everybody?
Eddie Ortiz. And we have a very, very special situation here, guys, tonight. Like we told you about in the last couple of days. We're really excited because we got to throw this together all really quickly. And I'm so glad to have my 3 Chiefs Migos. The 3 Chiefs Migos are in the studio together.
Cast.
Shaggy Shane Williams and Clay Windler. Let's give it up for them real quick, guys. Here we go. That's right.
Woo!
All right, Shane. So what's up, buddy? What's going on with you?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Kansas City Chiefs, freaks worldwide of all ages, welcome to the Shaggy Shane Show. Last week on the Shaggy Shane Show, we were discussing a plethora of things. We evaluated the second and third round draft pick. You were with me in Shaggy's draft corner. We took Tyreek Hill and we threw him out the window. Well, certain scenarios and certain situations took place yesterday that you know that we're going to discuss in a plethora of situations. Ladies and gentlemen, the first time I sat down here in the KC Beard Company studios doing the Spoken Podcast with my brother Lance Twidwell, it was 7 weeks ago tonight. 2 hours before the show, the news broke of the Tyreek Hill situation. We sat here amongst ourselves trying to dissect this information that we were gathering. What's going on? What's going to happen here? What's going to happen now? Oh my God, what's going to go? Nothing happened for 5 weeks and 5 days. 9 days ago, the district attorney said, we feel something happened, but we're not going to press charges. The very next day, the first day, the NFL draft, the audio tape came out. Oh my God, a total shitstorm. It's not looking good. The Kansas City Chiefs didn't talk about it until after their selection in the second round, which they took what we thought and what we could still be McCole Hardman, a wide receiver, to be the heir apparent to what we think could be and possibly still should be, and to some, the replacement of Tyreek Hill. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we got the news yesterday that was a scenario where it paints a picture that we believe, even if Tyreek Hill is suspended for the first 4 games, this is all hypothetical, that he could still be the wide receiver, or he still can be with the Chiefs in the 2019 season. There's a lot of things that we need to discuss. There's a lot of things to digest, on the surface. What did you take away, Lance? I want to introduce Trevor and my homeboy, Clay Windler.
What's up?
What did you take away from yesterday's news, Lance?
This is the way I look at it now. It's to the point where I've been on one side of the spectrum. I've been on the other side of the spectrum. And I'm fatigued as a fan, as a human being, because just last week on our podcast, Eddie and Trevor and myself expressed with all sincerity just how much it hurts us to know that regardless of who hurt a child was hurt. And I felt at that time, because of the way that the stories have all been coming together and developing at its own pace, and how it, like I said, it's been on one side of the spectrum. At that particular time, I was of the belief that Tyreek Hill had been abusing his son. And so I was the one that came out and said, I want him off my team. I do not want him on this team, even though I was the one that said that I want the facts to come out. I thought enough facts came out. I was a little premature with that, because now as we sit here a week later, we're hearing a lot different stories than what we were actually being told at that time. Now, you can blame the media. You can blame anybody that's a news source. The fact is that I think we live in a very knee-jerk reaction culture, and I think that I jumped the gun a little bit. And I'm not too proud to say that. I think that that's what I've done. I'll definitely hold that L, if you will. But the thing about it is I think that no matter what has taken place in this, my reaction was, I just want this over with. I want a resolution. I want a result. I want to know, is he going to be on this team or not? And more importantly, is the child going to be in a good, safe home? That's what I want to know. Is he going to be in a family situation where he is safe and he does not have to worry about any type of abuse ever again in his life? He's only 3 years old. That's the thing we have to remember in this very situation. So it's ugly altogether. I don't know what is to come. I'm sick and tired of trying to develop my opinion on half-assed truths and partial news and lazy news, quite frankly. The Kansas City Star came out and literally shit the bed with that article today. Yeah. And Clay sent that to me earlier today, and he was upset with it. I'm not going to – you can speak for yourself. My point is, I'm sick of the way that the media is handling this. I'm sick of the way that a lot of us are handling our emotions in it, because I think we're getting too attached to certain snippets of the news at the time. And I'm just ready for a resolution. I'm ready for a result.
Yes, as we continue, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Shaggy Shane Show with the Spoken. It's a combined show. It's two shows in one. It's one show in two. It's like that episode in the late 70s of The Bionic Man and the $6 Million Man. They just kind of combined together. I know me and your dad might be able to relate to that when you're 7 years old.
It kind of feels like a hostile takeover.
It is a hostile takeover. We got Trevor Twidwell, Clay Windler. Trevor, I want to get your opinion. What do you think about this recent ups and downs the last 7 weeks?
I don't have much. I pretty much want to mimic what he said. I don't have much of an opinion anymore. I just am so emotionally drained. I just want some answers, man. I want to know what exactly is going on. So right now I don't have too much of an opinion anymore because me and him emotionally let it out, I think, when we had what we thought was the answer or was going to be the case. But I don't know, man. Like right now I'm just kind of at a loss. I kind of just like feel like there's pieces that we're missing still, and we have a lot to figure out and a lot to find out. But yeah, right now I just don't have much to say towards it because I don't know. I'm still left in the dark. We're all left in the dark on a lot of it still. So yeah, man, I just hope the kid's okay. I hope everything's good with him, his future. Hopefully everything is getting sorted out for his sake. And you know, if Tyreek is guilty, if she's guilty, if they're both guilty, they have everything coming to them. So really just don't want to put too much emotion into it anymore because I already put a lot into it. So let's just kind of hold out faith and see if everything comes out right. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. So
Clay Windler, the last 7 weeks, it's been 7 weeks ago today. You've been on this ups and downs with us. What's your take on this situation, and how do you feel moving forward with Tyreek Hill as a member of the Kansas City Chiefs?
Well, the emotion that I've really felt now for a week and a half, I've kind of been mad at everybody. When this all started, I was mad at Tyreek Hill. I felt like Tyreek Hill had betrayed the trust of the Chiefs. I felt like he had let down a lot of people he'd built a large fan base, no doubt, in Kansas City. He had a lot of fans. And I felt he had just ruined all of that. And not only that for himself, but for the Chiefs and their chances this year. And obviously, potentially he had hurt an innocent kid too. So I was mad. And then the stuff from the lawyers came out yesterday, and I was mad all over again. Not at Tyreek, because I really felt the evidence and how they presented it as being it was digitally analyzed. The forensics team had basically approved those texts and said they were 100% ironclad. So when that came out, I felt mad again, but I was mad at the media, not just the Kansas City media, but certainly I think they share a large portion of the blame for how people have perceived this. But the national media too, Pro Football Talk, I felt like the perception of what had happened had been completely slanted to where the media had served as judge, jury, and executioner for Tyreek Hill. And clearly, based on what his lawyers presented, that was not the case. And today, when the Kansas City Star essentially doubled down on everything they had said and didn't come out with any news, but came out with a piece from the quote-unquote Star editorial board, which I've never read that author before. Right. I don't know if you guys have, but basically they to me it was like a character assassination of Tyreek Hill, and they were not going to back down on what they had published before, despite the evidence that had come out. And to not even put their name on that struck me as cowardly, and it just stinks of a lot of yellow journalism to me. So, I was mad last week. I'm mad today. To me, it feels like this is shifting in Tyreek Hill's favor, certainly just based on the evidence. And I did hear some things tonight that reinforce that belief that I really can't go into details, but
I understand.
But like you guys with the way this has jerked us all around, I'm certainly ready for it to be over.
Great point. I think you definitely speak well for all of us on that. There's certain situations, and I want to talk hypotheticals here. It's about something that we've talked about going back to last October. This is hypothetical. Let's say the Tyreek Hill situation plays out and we find out by the end of the month that Tyreek Hill will only get a 4-game suspension. I know we only got a few minutes to cover this, but I want to get your all opinion on this as fast as possible. Going back to October, when I was talking to Pat Mahomes Sr. at Arrowhead Stadium, I brought up the situation of trading for one Adrian Peterson. On the free agent freakout frenzy that we had last month on the Shaggy Shane show, we talked about the possibility of trading draft pick for Patrick Peterson. If the scenario works out where Tyreek Hill is only suspended 4 games, Patrick Peterson wants out of Arizona. Tyreek Hill would have a chance to redeem himself, follow me here, by going to Arizona in a trade for Patrick Peterson. Tyreek Hill could redeem himself, start his career all over, have a healthy background, to start over. He would work wonders in Cliff Kingsbury's offense and expedite the growing process of Kyler Murray. Patrick Peterson wants out of Arizona. We've known that for a couple of weeks now. What do you think of trading a trade? This is all hypothetical. This is a dream scenario. We've been dreaming about Patrick Peterson since last fall.
Yeah.
And we've talked on it in many shows, on my show, The Spoken. What would you think? Would you be for a Patrick Peterson trade to Kansas City for Tyreek Hill?
If we're talking straight up, I wouldn't be. I would definitely want Arizona to sweeten that pot a little bit, because as much as I love Patrick Peterson, Tyreek Hill is a much better football player at this point in time of his career. I love Patrick Peterson for this team, and I do believe the Chiefs really want him too, from everything I've also heard. But here's the thing. We have to understand that Tyreek Hill's value in the NFL, not just for the Chiefs in the NFL, and what we talked about before the show even started tonight, he could arguably be the best offensive player in the NFL that is not a quarterback. Right. Not to mention he's 25 years old, just turned 25, and is making around $20,000 in cap hits this year. He's so affordable and so incredible that even I agree with the redemption side of things, but the Cardinals would have to give me a little bit more than just Patrick Peterson as a swap, because Patrick Peterson is going to be 4 years older than Tyreek Hill as well, and he plays a more, I think, in my opinion, with this team and the value that Tyreek Hill has, plays actually more of a replaceable position too for this team. And even the fact that the cornerback position is a need at the Chiefs.
Well, and I think too, I'm looking at it from Patrick Mahomes' standpoint. I want to, if Tyreek's in the clear and he faces a few games, I'd rather have Tyreek on my offense with Patrick Mahomes before we pay him that much money, because it's looking like Tyreek Hill's probably going to be gone. I mean, we might franchise tag him next year because we have him on pennies right now. If we franchise tag him next year, we have him for that extra season. But I know, obviously, we're going to be paying Patrick Mahomes a ton of money. So I think I would rather have that game-breaking type of offensive prowess player with Patrick Mahomes to kind of keep him as – because we saw it last year, like we talked about before. He was the guy he would go to when the play breaks down and he needs something to happen, like against Baltimore and plays like that. So, yeah, I mean, for me, it's I don't want to – straight up, I agree with you straight up. I think I'd want more than that just for Tyreek.
Real quickly, yes or no, do you make the trade, Clay?
Corners don't win Super Bowls, and game-breaking wide receivers do. That's all I got to say about that.
All right, the rest of this show, where can my viewers find the rest of this show tonight?
You can find us on Apple Podcasts. You can find us on Stitcher. You can find us on Radio Republic, Anchor, and Spotify. Just look up the Spoken Podcast. You'll be ready to go subscribe and like.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Kansas City Chiefs, freaks worldwide of all ages, thank you for watching the show. After you're done watching the show, grab your Spotify, grab your phone. Come on, you're up to date. Hit Spotify, look for The Spoken. This is episode, I think, 12.
This is 12, yes, sir.
Episode 12. And this situation, we're going to expand on a lot more. It will continue. Lance, thank you for letting Shaggy Shane invade your house and take over your podcast. Again, get on The Spoken Podcast. Get on Spotify right now and see the rest. Until then, next time, Shaggy Shane saying...
And don't forget to check out the all-new Spoken YouTube channel.
That's right. Thank you for that. Thank you.
Indeed. Love you guys. Go Chiefs.
Oh.
KC Hemp Company, your most trusted CBD provider in Kansas City, shipping nationwide. Ancient plant for a new age health. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram at KC Hemp Co. KC Hard Goods is the brainchild of local Kansas City degenerate Scott Reinerson. Born from a passion of old materials and custom designs, specializing in reclaimed wood, burned art and signs, and upcycled leather wallets and accessories. Follow Casey Hardgoods on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. This is the Spoken Podcast for here's segment 3. I am your host, Lance Twidwell, here in the Casey Beard Co. studios with my guys, Trevor Twidwell.
What's up, everybody?
Eddie Ortiz. And in the Modern Man Supply Company guest seats, we have 2/3 of the 3 Chiefs Migos. Shane just went in here and rocked it on his show. We had a little infusion, but I want to congratulate, or I want to thank Shaggy Shane Williams and Red Tribe Cinema's brain. I guess the brains behind Red Tribe Cinema, Clay Windler, creator of Red Tribe Cinema. The best content in the area for Chiefs coverage when it comes to. Well, I'm just, obviously the least I could do is give you a little bit of some love back for producing like you do for us, man. So just saying, man. So I'm glad you guys are here. I really am. This is awesome to have both you guys here at the same exact time. Usually we're at Shane's house, doing our breakdowns there. It's really nice to have both you guys here at my place in the Casey Beard Co. studios.
Thanks for making me welcome.
No, absolutely, man. So we obviously tackled the whole Tyreek Hill situation as much as we could, as eloquently as we could. But I want to get onto something that I feel is, in a weird way, kind of been under the radar. And it has to do with a very, very important player, and it's by the name of Chris Jones. I don't think a lot of people have really paid attention to the fact that he still hasn't gotten his extension, which I think we all assume he will. Now, most people can say, well, I'm not really talking about it because I'm not really worried about it. For me, I'm not really concerned about it. I want to get all your guys' thoughts on this for a second, but I want to know what your guys' thoughts are for him long-term, because we had Kent Swanson on the show a couple weeks ago. And it was a very interesting conversation because it really wasn't a debate, but there were 2 different angles to this as far as, whether the Chiefs really believe that Chris Jones is going to be a long-term guy or not because of the coaching staff they've brought in. Mentioning the coach they brought in from New England. Would Chris Jones fit in with his style? And for me, at first, I thought, man, there's no way in hell there'd be any problems at all. They're going to extend Chris Jones. It's, there's no concerns, no worries whatsoever. And I believe what's his name, Montgomery, if I'm not mistaken, the coach they brought from New England. I forget his name, but yeah. So that was the concern that Kent had brought up. And I never thought about it, honestly, until that very moment, because he's kind of a no BS kind of guy. And Chris Jones is a little bit more, flamboyant with his personality, and he likes to get the crowd involved, which we think is fine as fans. But there are different coaching strategies that are out there that they want their guys to be a little bit closer to the vest. They don't want their emotions to be out there all the time. They want them to be a little bit more focused.
It's from New England. It's the Patriots way.
And as Shane has alluded before, Chris Jones had a pretty bad AFC Championship game. So I want to get your thoughts on this. Shane, I want to start with you, and we'll go around the table. What is your thoughts on this? Is there anything that you're concerned about, and are you in any way against almost having Chris Jones here long-term?
No, I'm not against it, and I don't think there's really anything to worry about. I think Brett Veach is looking at all the intangibles. He's taking care of the salary cap. We've seen the situation before with Justin Houston. Granted, John Dorsey waited a year too late. I think a deal with Chris Jones will be done by training camp. It makes too much sense. He is the heart and soul of this defense. I know Frank Clark got his deal, and everybody's going to look at the financial situation of the salary that Frank Clark just received. And they're going to think, no, he's the heart and soul of the defense. I honestly believe Brett Veach will get a deal done with Chris Jones by training camp, because it makes too much sense. Granted, you brought up the AFC Championship game, and not enough people talk about what happened in the AFC Championship game with Chris Jones. With 5.5 minutes left in that game, Chris Jones was gone. Yeah. Chris Jones did not play in the fourth 5 minutes left in the game and overtime. What happened in overtime? Tom Brady had 3 3rd and 10 completions. You didn't have to worry about Chris Jones. He was picking them apart. Granted, we put that long in the rearview mirror, but I feel a deal will get done because, as I mentioned, he's the heart and soul of his defense. And I think with Chris Jones and Frank Clark together, they're going to be a dynamic duo. I think it will keep the Chiefs away from getting a Patrick Peterson, though we did dream about it in the first segment, because we've been dreaming about it the last 10 months. I think Frank Clark and Chris Jones will create a combination where you can have Chardarius Ward as the starting corner with Kendall Fuller in the slot and Brashad Breeland on the other outside. We knew that Kendall Fuller was a monster slot, was the best slot corner in the NFL in the 2017 season with Washington when he had Brashad Breeland on the other outside, which I think having Frank Clark and Chris Jones manhandling that defensive end position will make it'll give Spagnuolo the chance to feel comfortable having Chardarius Ward, who did show some promise in the last 4 games of the season. But to answer your question in a nutshell, I'm sorry I'm rambling. I believe the deal will get done with Chris Jones by training camp.
Yeah. I'm not too worried about it. I think he's going to get paid. I don't know. I personally feel like there's another move that's going to be made. And I think it kind of hinges on that. I think there's some things going on. This is obviously speculation on my end, but I don't think just from what we've seen from Beach, there's no doubt in my mind that he's working on something else right now. I think he's going to try to bring another corner in here, whether it's, Patrick Peterson or Xavier Rhodes or somebody on that, on that elk. I think he's going to get paid. I think we would be absolutely bananas out of our mind to let him walk out of this place and not lock him up for at least a few years and then maybe let him go after that. But to have him and Clark next to each other for at least a handful of years is just ideal, especially what we're going through on the offensive side. So to keep those guys together for our defense, maybe have our defense win us some games this year because of those guys. Those are pillar players. You want to keep those guys around. I'm all for signing him to a long-term deal. Like you said, he's barely 25 years old, so he won't even be 30 by the time that contract's up. So I'm no doubt in my mind he's staying around. But I think there's things going on behind the scenes. Obviously, the Tyreek drama, but that has nothing to do with it. But he's going to get paid, and I think we get another $10 million once the June 10th. I think is when Eric Berry's.
Yeah, it'll be $9 million roughly, a little over $9 million.
They could be waiting on that too to sign someone else, and then focus solely on Chris Jones. Who knows? I think he's getting paid. So that's my opinion. He's getting paid. We're other things in the mix. So yeah, that's me.
To echo what Shane said about him not being in at the end of the game against the Patriots. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he has had some minor injury issues throughout his career. He's a guy who he's been nicked up.
Yeah.
So between that and the fact that when the Chiefs drafted, what was the name of the defensive tackle they drafted this year?
Colin Sanders.
Yes. Is it Sanders or
Saunders?
Sanders.
Western Illinois.
Yeah.
6 foot, 304 pounds.
He is a different style of defensive tackle, obviously, than Chris Jones is. So then that actually makes me wonder if that is the kind of player that they would feel is a better fit in their defense. But to me, if they're reluctant at all about giving him big money, he is under contract for this season.
Yeah,
they might want to think about that. They might feel like it's a better idea to wait and see if he can play within the new scheme and if he can stay healthy.
Yeah,
that might be one thing that's delaying it.
On the surface, I think it's a very common sense move that they do sign him back, and from the market value that they're seeing on SpotTrack.com, he's going to make every bit of over $20 million a year.
Yeah.
If you look at it, besides Aaron Donald, there is no one better at that
Numbers
position
aren't
than
too
Chris
much
Jones in the
different.
NFL.
Right.
And Aaron Donald is going to be 28 this season, whereas Chris Jones isn't even 25 yet, like Trevor said. So if this contract is up, more than likely, as Brett Veach, his patterns with contracts, like with Tyrann Mathieu and Frank Clark, is the guaranteed money goes away pretty quickly. They front load those contracts. Frank Clark's guaranteed money is essentially gone by year 3 when he'll be 28. So if they want to get out of it before his prime's even up, they can do that or extend him again. So with Chris Jones, if you're looking at it from just the perspective of the last couple of years, yes, there's no question about it. You got to sign him. But like Clay just alluded to, if Colin Saunders is more of the style of defensive tackle they're looking at, I can entertain that thought a little bit more still because of the fact that there has been so much change in this defense. Now, again, he is extremely talented, and for me, I am in full support of them extending him. I want him to be in this defense because I think he's going to be able to adjust to the style of defense that they have, but I can entertain the thought a lot more than if it was to be the same style of defense and they were keeping the same type of players around him. But this defense is night and day difference just from a roster perspective.
I feel like Chris Jones is one of those guys you can plug anywhere.
Right.
You can put him on the edge. I feel like he'll do damage. So he's too good of an athlete. I think that wouldn't fit into the scheme. That doesn't make too much sense to me. I think they're gonna. He's a great locker room guy, high spirited guy. He's a pillar player, man. He's a guy you don't let walk in. If they do it. If this Colin kid can be that guy, I don't know.
Let's look at it like this though, because we say we wouldn't let him walk. I'm talking about more of the Chiefs entertaining trades,
like the Frank Clark trade.
Right. That's what I'm looking more at,
man.
Because the kind of value the Chiefs could get in return for a Chris Jones.
Same value.
Think about
especially
that.
After having the year he just had, for sure.
He's never missed a game in his
hear
career.
The devil's advocate side of it for sure.
So here's a good scenario for you. Would you trade Chris Jones for Patrick Peterson?
No, I wouldn't.
In this defense, I would entertain
we can't
it a
let
lot
Patrick
more.
Peterson go. We're going to talk about Patrick Peterson with everybody.
Because I think it's legitimate. I think there is a legitimacy to Patrick Peterson being in Kansas City. Yeah. Even if they were to even extend Chris Jones, they could technically pull that off. Yeah. They could technically pull that off because we were under the assumption going into this offseason that Tyreek Hill was going to get $20 million a year.
Right.
So they had to almost choose between Chris Jones and another big free agent afterward. So now we're sitting here going, okay, Tyreek is not getting paid. Yeah. So all that money, and Trevor brought up, Eric Berry's money coming off the books after June 1st. There is opportunity for the Chiefs to still say, hey, Chris Jones, here's $20 million a year, 117 overall. And Patrick Peterson, we're trading you and extending you 3 years for $45 million. They can still do things like that. Yeah. My point is, if you're looking at trades, the Chiefs have to still keep the same mindset, and that is we're all in. So Patrick Peterson would definitely help this defense, but is it at the right cost? Is giving up Chris Jones for Patrick Peterson still showing your team that you're all in? Probably, but does it make your defense better? I don't know if it does, because the whole idea of having Frank Clark here was to team him up with Chris Jones.
Yeah, you got two guys that demand double team.
Yeah, because if you take away Chris Jones from this defense and just have Frank Clark as your ultimate pass rusher, you don't have anybody else who can get to the quarterback.
Yep.
That's the point. You want to keep a front seven as tough and nasty as possible. Letting go of Chris Jones would be the opposite of that. Right. I would love Patrick Peterson in this defense, but I'd love it more if he was in here with Chris Jones still in it. So
you could do both, go all in this year, make it happen, figure it out next year, man.
Right.
That's how I look at it, because we're going to pay we're going to pay Mahomes next year anyway. So go all in this year, figure it out next year, man.
And something else I wanted to bring up to you guys before this segment is over. Obviously, we heard the news that Jamaal Charles signed a one-day contract with the Chiefs, is retiring with the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes and him did the little handoff. It was a really cool moment. I loved it.
I cried.
It was a very emotional moment seeing them embrace each other, these two different generation talents from the Chiefs, what I would have given to see these guys play together. And then DJ, we heard the news that he was actually – Derek Johnson was going to be retiring. My favorite Chief of all time before Patrick is retiring as well with the Chiefs. Guys, this is obviously something that was going to happen. We all knew it because these are two of the most adored and, quite frankly, two of the best players in Chiefs history. Fans love them. They're universally adored, pretty much league-wide. But I want to get a little angle on this for a second. I don't mean to be the wet blanket in the room here, but I want to get your guys' thoughts on this. I felt like the Chiefs, in a way, used Jamaal Charles and Derek Johnson for PR morale boost, if you will. Because the Chiefs have had we've sat here on the show numerous times and said, let's start talking about something that's going to uplift us a little bit, because as exciting as last season was and how close we were to a championship, we should be sitting here just totally ecstatic about what's coming next. Instead, we've been talking about all these negative things naturally just because it's taken up all the headlines. So I think the Chiefs, and I'll give them credit because I probably would do the exact same thing. They said, you know what? We need to get two legends back here. We need to retire both of them within a week's time of each other. And that's going to be the talking point for a little bit, at least for a little bit. I want to get your guys' thoughts. Clay, I want to start with you. What's your thoughts on that, man?
I see your point. And, you said you might be tempted to do the same thing. But I would say, first thing I would say is why not? Because whatever is going on with the Tyreek situation, it is no fault of the Kansas City Chiefs. They didn't cause it.
Right.
So I think if they were motivated to bring back Charles and DJ and have fun with this, I don't fault them whatsoever. And the other thing I'd just like to say about this is it was really, really cool watching Charles and Mahomes interact. You could tell how badly Jamaal Charles wished that his legs would work like they did 5 years ago. That was so cool to see. And all this stuff happened with the Broncos, and Charles said some things that he probably would take back, and he got bad mouthed a little bit.
It's a competitor,
but
not the most well spoken guy.
I posted this video from it was 2014, the Seahawks game,
right? And
people were reacting to like it happened yesterday, which was that was really cool to see. So if the Chiefs wanted to do that for less than 100% pure motives, then fine, because I think we all really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, to me, that's obviously what I saw it as from the PR standpoint, not only for the fans, for the locker room, man. For Patrick Mahomes, because he doesn't know everything that's probably going on. There's still a lot of things up in the air. He might lose his most deadliest weapon that he has in the offense. Who knows? So, I mean, for them to do that, for him to have a good conversation and talk about how Jamaal Charles was his guy when he was watching him in Texas, that's good just for the morale of the community and the locker room. You got new guys coming in here. We don't need that hanging over their head with this whole Tyreek situation. So, I mean, it was the right move to do those things. If that was what they did for PR reasons or for morale reasons or just keep the mood right or change the direction of everyone's attention, I mean, that's the right thing to do. I would, like you said, I would do it too. That's where I'm at.
I think it was a good move. It needed to be done. I don't know who's the person that thought about doing it, but it was a feel-good moment. Clay made the awesome video of Red Tribe Cinema that I asked him to make, and I had to watch it. I probably watched it like 17 times in a row.
See, that's it. That's why.
I mean,
that's why the Three Chiefs Migos works.
Heck yeah!
I would never have thought to do anything like that. And you come up with it out of the blue, and everybody loved it.
It was so perfect, Jamaal. I mean, Patrick Mahomes slowly gets the handoff and turns.
Man, it's beautiful.
And you picked the perfect audio, dude, because it was like wide open to the right, and it was wide open. It was good, but I really liked it. I think
a dream.
Yeah, I think Arrowhead, and they are for the most part. Arrowhead is doing things right. They have the draft open to the public. Well, the Saturday you can meet the first, second, third round draft picks, and they showed up. So Arrowhead, they're doing it right.
Yeah, I liked it too.
And the other thing about that is, wasn't so long ago that the Chiefs were under the influence of a different regime that completely, and I mean completely, shut out former players.
Yep.
Right.
And I don't think anybody wants to go back to that. So.
No, but I know it. We know.
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think it's refreshing for Chiefs fans because we're sitting here talking about it right now. How nice it was to see, the former guys, coming out there and enjoying a moment with these dudes that are leading us, into the future. It's great to see that. And I don't want to just, give it all credit to Patrick Mahomes, but I think he also plays a significant role in this too, because having such a great player like him and having, quite frankly, such a great guy, I mean, that also makes it easier for the Chiefs to have these types of situations because the Chiefs fans love him so much that when they bring these old guys back, like, oh, this is so cool. What could have been? That's what we talk about. What could have been, and that's the thing I'm always going to think about is, man, what could have been if Jamaal and Patty could have been on the same team. And Trevor actually said something pretty funny this week where he said, well, they handed the ball off for Jamaal when DJ signs his one-day contract. They're going to let him sack Patrick Mahomes.
We're going to get a slow motion sack.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for the video of that. What's
Are they going to call it forward motion? That's what I want to know.
Sack, fumble.
They're going to call it forward motion like they did for Mariota. That's all I want to know. But guys, I really, again, Chiefs Migos, this is so great to have you guys here at the same time. Shane, I know you got an insanely busy schedule, and Tracy and the girls, I know you guys are very close family, and I'm so glad that you've allowed me to come into your home and be close to you guys and do these videos with you over the years. You've been one of my biggest supporters from day one, and I mean literally day one. Thanks, Clay, you've brought me into your world, man, this incredibly chaotic world that I love. It's like poetry in motion. Red Tribe Cinema, I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed it for years, even before I knew you, and I'm glad to have you in my living room right now, man, talking about this stuff, talking about the Chiefs with you guys. So go ahead, Clay. What do you got, man?
If you're going to just lavish on me like this, before I met you, well, first of all, I've known Shane for a long time, but without a doubt, no offense, Lance, but Shane is by far my number one fan.
There's no question.
The support that he gives me is incredible. But having both you guys contribute to the things I do makes it so much better, because knowing you two and bouncing stuff off of you, and both of you giving me ideas that I would never come up with on my own.
Yeah,
like I just
like dropping the mic. He literally dropped the mic. He literally dropped the mic.
Dropped the mic. Moment.
Which shows you just how badly I need you to. So that's why this.
Like I said, it's chaos.
We work
it's chaos.
so well together.
Yes, absolutely, man. Well,
yeah, man. I appreciate the kind words, buddy.
Number one Mahomie over here, my guy Shaggy Shane Williams. Definitely follow him on YouTube, on Facebook. I don't even know if you can accept friend requests anymore. You probably got so many, but and Red Tribe Cinema. Go to Red Tribe Cinema for the best content, guys, the best videos out there. I'm telling you, I mean, I'm lucky enough to be a part of it now, but for years, Clay has been putting hard work and diligence into this, and I'm so glad to have, because it could have been any fan base that you could have landed in. You know what I mean? And you ended up being here with us. And so I'm really grateful for both you guys to help me stay inspired, because there are times, man, where throughout these years, like the Alex Smith era, for instance, it was just so tough to sometimes chug along, but you guys helped me through it, and I appreciate it.
Well, listen, we got Mahomes playing baseball with his dad, and I guarantee you're not going to see that anywhere else.
Meanwhile,
get your ass to Arrowhead.
Throw it deep, son.
That's right.
So that's it, guys. Thank you so much for having the 2/3 of the Chiefs Migos here. Shaggy Shane
guys rock.
Williams, Clay Windler from Red Tribe Cinema. When we get back, we got Fill in the Cracks with Eddie Ortiz, and of course, we're bringing back Hold This L. We'll be back to that after this.
See ya.
Mid-Coast Modern is a Kansas City focus on modern, handmade, and small brands. A resource for design-centric home goods, apparel, jewelry, artwork, and limited edition gifts. We support makers, artists from the Mid-Coast, and bring in goods from makers, artists around the U.S. to offer a unique selection.
Wasteland Society, an apparel brand inspired by the underground, the weird, the youth, post-punk, 80s and 90s pop culture, and the idea of living life on the opposite end of the spectrum to the fullest. Hand-printed in Kansas City using an eco-friendly printing process on sweatshop-free garments that are ethically made in the USA. Find them. We are Wasteland Society on Instagram. This is the Spoken Podcast for Segment 4. I am your host, Lance Twidwell, here in the KC Beard Co. studios with my guys, Eddie Ortiz, Trevor Twidwell.
What up?
And we're going to have Clay Windler come back on because he's got to drop an L. I mean, every time he's here, we got to keep the tradition. So we're going to have Clay come back on in a minute and give us the L of the week. But, Eddie, let's get right into it, man. Give us some information. Give us some insight, because I know there were some juicy details that came out specifically in the soccer world. I know that. So go ahead and drop some lines for us, brother. Fill in the cracks.
Let's kick it off with Canelo versus Daniel Jacobs this weekend.
Shit.
It's a big fight coming up. I mean, you're talking Canelo versus pretty much a nobody that that nobody really knows about. They're both coming into this fight at 160, I believe, and it just I think they're fighting for the 3 belts that Canelo has, if I'm not mistaken. Who will take the victory? I mean, that's pretty easy and simple for me. I just think there's no chance for Jacobs to even do any kind of damage to Canelo. I don't think there's a boxer as of right now that can give Canelo that fight, that competition that he's really looking for. I think Triple G.
I was going to say Triple G
was a really good challenger, but he is much older. He is 36, 37. So obviously he's Canelo was going to have the advantage because he's only 28, 29. So I just think Jacobs is not. He's not to that level just yet. Will he ever be to that level? I don't know. Who knows? But yeah, so people stay put. That's going to be a good fight this weekend. It's going to be tomorrow night on DAZN kind of network. It's a network or an app that Canelo signed 11 fight deal for $300 and something million.
I've seen that, yeah.
And this app, I think you can get a monthly subscription for $5 or something like that. Can't remember. So we'll see how that pays out. And then another topic I want to talk about is Champions League that happened Tuesday and Wednesday. Now those were some great matches. We had Tottenham against Ajax. I honestly didn't think Ajax was going to come out there to London and show them what they did to Tottenham, beating them 1-0 at their own home. Now they got to go back to the Netherlands and in front of their people, so it's going to be tough for Tottenham. Will they pull out? Tough to say, man. Ajax is that team that it's kind of like the underdog of all of the remaining 4. Not a lot of people had hope for them, but what they showed against Tottenham, that just made a lot of people be like, okay, they are for real. They are the team to beat as of right now. They not only eliminated Real Madrid, but I mean, Real Madrid without Ronaldo, it's not Real Madrid.
Yeah.
Then they went and eliminated Ronaldo with Juventus, which I think is kind of funny. But now they about to eliminate one of the favorites to actually win the tournament. So I'm in a little shock and with that. And then on the other game, we had Barcelona against Liverpool, which we all thought this game was going to be so much closer than what we actually saw on Wednesday. We saw Messi come out there and just school some players. Man, it really raises the question of who is the better player, Ronaldo or Messi? And I know you guys saw the free kick that Messi
that bend was
scored.
insane,
Oh
dude.
my
Yeah,
god!
so
Oh my god!
Another day at the office,
and I mean that was not a that's not a
This moment brought to you by T-Mobile, huh? I didn't know we had the endorsement yet, Eddie. Thanks for that.
But you're welcome. I gotta bring new people.
The phone want to let you
That's
know.
That's an automatic two-piece every time someone's
Yeah.
phone goes off. Just be prepared, Eddie.
There's an early L right
Eddie
there.
is already questionable for next week.
Yes.
Son of a bitch.
So okay, just to finish it up, will Barcelona defeat Liverpool? Yes, it is a 3-0 advantage for the second leg. There's just no coming back. So
Yeah.
Liverpool, see ya.
Well, that's actually pretty good. Thank you so much for that, Eddie. I really appreciate you updating us on that. I'm pretty excited about the Canelo fight. I think he's actually going to whoop some ass. But moving on, guys, let's get to our favorite segment. Which one is it called again, guys?
Hold this L.
It's time to hold this L.
I want you to do me a favor and hold this L.
Somebody's got to hold that L.
The who? The her.
I'm talking like caps lock LL Cool J style.
Hold that L.
Good God, man. Hold this gigantic, veiny, pulsating L.
Man, you are one pathetic loser.
You ignorant bastard.
That was great.
Hold this L. Hold this L. Brought to you by Casey Beard Co. 100% organic ingredients, 100% organic ingredients, giving you everything you need to take care of your beard and skin on a daily basis. Visit CaseyBeardCo.com. Guys, hold this L. We did not get to do this last week. We didn't feel it was necessary. This week, it's definitely necessary.
Absolutely.
And we're so glad that Clay Windler decided to stick with us for one more segment. So we're going to start right with you, brother. Who is holding the L this week for one Clay Windler?
Well, it's time to hold this L, but first I'm going to hold hands with Trevor.
There we go.
We're gonna hand
We'll
this
tiptoe
L.
through the tulips together.
That's right.
What am I seeing? What am I seeing here?
Grasp
Hold
this
on.
L by both ends, and we're going to hand it.
Yes.
We're going to hand it to KMBC.
Absolutely,
Because,
man.
Trevor, what did KMBC do this week?
Well, supposedly, I mean, from what everyone knows, the news, Mahomes finally dug his feet in, put his roots down, and bought a multi-million-dollar home in the KC area. And of course, we're not used to having a superstar the size of Mahomes. He's probably the biggest thing to ever happen to this city as far as star power. And the news stations couldn't control themselves to where they had to literally air the home address for Mahomes the day he was moving in. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you feel about it, man. It's absolutely embarrassing to me. It just shows the incompetence that we have. Not the incompetence, but the overwhelming evidence that we're not used to having this kind of star power in this city, which it's organically fine if you think about it, but at the same time, it's a little bit disrespectful to the privacy of Patrick Mahomes.
To me, it just shows the desperation
Yeah.
that some people in the media will go to for any kind of story. It wasn't even May when that quote unquote story
Right.
came out. There's going to be plenty of opportunity to get your sound bites, get your ratings from Patrick Mahomes content later this year. Just give it a rest and let Mahomie just chill in his new pad with his two dogs and his ketchup and
it was bad enough that I think his
Fortnite, whatever else he wants to do. Just
right.
And Brittany too.
As I was saying, it was bad enough that Brittany, she had a
comes
tweet
out,
out.
yeah.
She tweeted out that she said privacy. Learn it, people.
Yeah.
Zero respect for people who don't understand that.
It's like
That's embarrassing, man.
We just got Patrick
Right.
Mahomes. We just made him our own.
Right.
Please don't put him in any kind of harm's way.
Well, and all this Tyreek stuff, we don't even know his address yet. You know,
we
but
don't.
that's what I'm saying. They kept his address secret, all this news.
Listen,
but Patrick Mahomes, day one.
If there's one chief who has to have a flaming bag of poo show up on their doorstep, it's not Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
Let it be somebody else.
So KMBC,
hold this L.
Right.
For Clay and Trevor.
Goodness, man.
Eddie Ortiz, who's holding the L, man?
Man, I'm gonna have to give it to the Giants organization again. I know
they're on our show like every week. It feels like, man. Rightfully so.
L, man.
Rightfully so.
With the new Browns, man.
I'm gonna
can't spell Gettleman without an L.
Exactly. I'm gonna give him the L for drafting a quarterback that I don't think nobody had going in the first round, or
except the Manning brothers.
I think nobody had him getting picked up in the first
scouts.
4 or 5 rounds. I can't remember. I mean, they passed up on Hoskins or
Dwayne Haskins.
Dwayne Haskins.
Like, how?
Well, even Stedham, the guy that went to the Patriots, a lot of people had him graded over Daniel Jones too, and I think they got him the 5th round.
In the 5th round, yes.
When I saw the Giants had drafted some quarterback named Dan Jones, I was like, "Is that a creative player from Madden?"
Well, it's not even the fact
like the default player.
It's not even the fact that they drafted him. It's the fact that they drafted him that high.
And then Gettleman wants to come out and say that
they could have got him like a round or 2 later, literally.
And I'm sure you heard Gettleman say, like, I knew there was several teams after us that were going to take him. Like, no, we all know better.
He said that it was kind of like the Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers situation.
Oh,
with,
boy.
Eli Manning.
They could have got him later then.
The first thing
I
thought about when I saw him was, is that Dave Brown Part 2? Y'all remember Dave Brown, right?
I do.
The heir apparent.
I saw a meme or something that was saying like he's the guy. He looks like the guy that would be playing Eli Manning in the movie of Eli Manning's life or something like that. I was like,
yeah,
perfect.
I've seen videos of Giants fans reacting to the pick, and I mean my heart goes out to them. Their organization obviously does not care about them.
The new Browns, man.
All right, so the Giants. Go ahead and for like the 19th time on only 12 episodes.
Hold this L.
All right, so I'm going to switch it up a little bit because we've been talking a lot of football, a lot of local stuff. I'm actually going to switch it up a little bit. I was going to go with the local media as well as you guys, but I felt like that might have already been taken, and what do you know it was? I'm going to go towards the NBA, actually, because James Harden gets a lot of hype, and rightfully so, because the guy is a phenomenal player and at times looks like he could be the best scoring player that we've seen in a long time. The problem, though, is there's another version of James Harden, and it comes out in the playoffs every single year. And although he is averaging 29 points a game right now in the playoffs, which you say, oh, that's really, really good. Well, he's averaging 7 points less per game than he was in the regular season. Yeah. And for me, when you set a standard, you have to uphold that. And so I know you're playing the Warriors right now, which is one of the best defensive teams, and it is, quite frankly, the best team in the NBA. But you're shooting 38% from the field. And although he wasn't shooting ever impressive numbers, only 41% from the field during the regular season, it's just so comical to me how we'll hype up January James Harden when, the playoffs are nowhere near to be there yet, and he's out there dropping 55 and 15 assists. Great numbers. Awesome numbers. Super stoked to watch that because I think we're watching a surefire Hall of Fame player, one of the 10 greatest scorers of all time. But every goddamn time he goes to the playoffs, this happens. So, although I'm not a fan of James Harden's, honestly, I hate his game. I think he manipulates the referees. I think he plays a style that isn't going to last. I don't think as he ages, it's going to work out for him in his favor. But I don't like what I don't like, and I'm tired of seeing the same movie over and over again, is playoff James Harden. Until he can actually change his ways, I cannot put him up there with LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, guys like that who have proven themselves worthy in the most crucial moments, in the brightest of lights, and the biggest of stages. So, Mr. James Harden, Mr. Beard, love your beard, but you're going to have to go ahead and hold this L. And you didn't need State Farm to tell you that. So, guys, this is a great episode. Super awesome. Again, I cannot stress enough. Clay, thank you so much for being here tonight. Shane, he had to get out of here, but thank you both so much for being here, for what you guys do for this show.
Man.
You produce it, man. You've put together all the audios for us. You created our new YouTube channel, so definitely check us out on there. And follow Clay on Twitter at Clay Windler. Get on Shaggy Shane's YouTube channel. Go follow Red Tribe Cinema on Facebook. And again, man, we're going to have you guys on, especially as the football season draws closer and throughout the football season. So, again, thank you for that. So, for Eddie Ortiz, for Trevor Twidwell, I am Lance Twidwell here in the KC Beard Co. Studios, finishing up episode 12 of the Spoken Podcast. Thank you so much for all that have listened to this point. Stick with us, guys, because it's only going to get better. At least we hope so. So, on that, we out of this bitch.
See ya later.
We're going to get out of this bitch. Thank you so much for listening, guys.
See ya.
You are tuned into The Spoken.
I might actually stick around for a little bit.